Hello and welcome to Money Shala. Joining me today is Shweta Jain, one of India's best known financial planners. She's been guiding investors for more than 15 years. I'm sure many of you have followed her on various media outlets. Today, we are going to talk about why do you need financial planning in the first place? Thank you, Shweta, for joining me here on Money Shala.
Thanks, Vivek. Thanks for having me here. And yes, I think it's easier for people to just look at products and add it to cart, because we are attuned to buying things rather than introspecting and seeing why do we need these things, right? So even when you're shopping, you're not going to first look at your wardrobe and see, do I already have that little black dress? You're still going to buy that dress if you like it, right? So it's as simple as that, I think, for consumers, for investors to just buy products when they like some features, whether it's cost, whether it's returns. So I think that's the prime reason that people end up buying products without even looking if they already have something similar in their portfolio. Why does one need financial planning? Is, I think, the simplest way for me to explain is, why do you need Google Maps, right?
Hmm.
For you to put in your destination. So even when you're just leaving home, you know where you want to get to, in how much time you'll get there, how much traffic is going to be there, what kind of vehicle to take. Based on that, you basically know and chart out your entire route based on that, right? Of course, we've traveled without Google Maps, not that we've not commuted without Google Maps, but today, just the convenience of having it is similar to having a financial plan, right? So people um, don't really think where they want to go. Of course, doesn't mean that they won't get anywhere, right? They will get somewhere, but may not be the journey that they wanted or would have been ideal for them. May not be the destination even that's ideal for them, right? Because they may not know what kind of products would have ideally suited them. They may lose sleep at night without even knowing that a financial plan could have helped me reach my goal, but also help me sleep better, right? Lots of times, and I think this is something that I see very often, lots of times people realize the importance of a financial plan only when something goes wrong, right? Saying, okay, I wish I had this insurance. I wish I had so much cover. I wish my husband had done this, or I wish my wife had done this, things like that. I wish I'd done this for my kids. So it's that regret that sort of drives the need for financial planning. So when you just ask people, do you need a financial plan, or shouldn't you first look at what you need? Like, nah, I like this product, let me buy it.
So, Shweta, what is the first step, according to you, to making a financial plan? Because, unfortunately, even today, even among educated, intelligent people, the minute you say finance, there is a tendency to believe that, oh, this is not for me, this is too complicated, I don't understand this. Uh, you've been talking about this, writing about this as well. Uh, so, what is the first step? I mean, the whole purpose that we are trying to do together is to demystify finance over the years. But there still seems to be a mental block to believe that it's too complicated. So, what is the simplest thing that somebody can do when you say financial planning?
I think I would say there are two things that are very simple and very easy that anybody can do. The first one is the budget, your expenses. Just put down your budget, because you won't believe, of the 100 people that I talk to, 99 people have no clue of what their expenses are, where they're spending money. The credit card is one black hole where they don't even, know how much they're spending or why they're spending. So first point would be to just start putting down your expenses. I've had somebody who's retired for a few years, and they said this was the first time they'd written down their expenses. So it's something that people just don't do, and I think it's really, really important that they do. Whether it's an app, whether it's an Excel sheet, whether it's a notebook, I mean, somewhere. Just put down your budget and start tracking it. You'll know how much money you're spending. So that's, I think, the first step to even saving, investing, to where you want to get to, what kind of lifestyle you want to lead. a mindful lifestyle. I would not say a lifestyle of minimalism. I'm not a minimalist myself. So I'm going to say that a lifestyle of mindfulness, that, you know, you're spending on things that you would really enjoy, things that you really need and want, rather than guilt yourself into spending, and then that guilty conscious comes into play, saying, I've spent so much and now I feel bad, now I need to spend some more to feel good about myself. So rather than spending like that, be mindful about your spending. It may be the same amount. I guarantee you it will not be, but it may be the same amount, but it still will make you happy. You will be more conscious. So I think first step is the budget. The second, and I think really, really powerful thing, is to put a vision board. Make it as colorful that you want, make it as pictorial as you want. Just what do you want to achieve in life? You know, it could be just a cardboard, it could be a digital space, whatever it is. Put down, whether it's travel, whether it's house, whether it's buying something for the house. It could be, I know people had this whole Dyson vacuum cleaner or a dishwasher as a goal a couple of years ago, just after COVID. So, because these are high ticket items, right? You're not just going to go and swipe your card and buy. Sometimes you might do that, you might buy it on EMI, but usually these are goals that you want, or a vacation in Spain, or going to Australia, whatever it is, you know. So break it down to what you want, make it as pictorial, as colorful as you can. It'll only entice you to really plan for it. And of course, put it in which years you'd like to achieve those, right? So you can't achieve everything in the same year. You don't want to as well, right? You want to live your life throughout. Like I may want to send my son to college next year, but he'll still just be 13, so I still can't send him, right? So break it down to which years you would like to achieve these, and that will actually give you a really great picture. You will have something to look forward to. I really like these colorful images that I have on my vision board. It also tells you, then the next step is a little boring, I would say, or a little complicated, but not that complicated. Now you have internet, you have enough number of calculators, right? Saying, okay, how much do I need to save per month to achieve that goal, right? So whether it's that vacation, whether it's the house, okay, I need to save 50,000, I need to save 1 lakh, I need to save 20,000, whatever the amounts are. And then you mindfully start saving towards those. So instead of spending an extra 20,000 in your whichever sale that comes up, you are now saving the 20,000 towards that holiday that really matters to you. Whether it's that luxury holiday to Thailand, whether it's Maldives, whatever it is, you know, put down these goals. And of course, these are going to keep changing. I've also seen this sort of hold back that people have, saying, you know, but tomorrow it may change. Of course, it will change. It has to change, right? Today, if you're aspiring for a car which is a Kia, maybe 10 years later, you'll aspire for a car which is a Mercedes, right? So things like this will, of course, change, but that shouldn't stop you from where you are planning today, right? So that will really help you to actually upgrade your life, because you're constantly looking at spending or investing in things that will make your quality of life better. So I think financial planning is not just about numbers, it's about the quality of life that you want to lead.
I'm going to add a third point, which I think for all logical reasons you didn't, but I will, which is please find yourself a good financial advisor. Irrespective of which stage of life you are at, how educated you are, what position you are at, what degree you hold. I can tell you from my own experience that you cannot underestimate or underrate the importance of having a financial advisor who can handhold you and take you through this journey periodically. There are some excellent advisors here in India, people like Shweta as well, and in each city. So you can, always check out and approach a good advisor. That I think would be the point number 3. How important is it to know your risk appetite? I find a lot of people, again, in this whole rush to pick products, vis-a-vis understanding themselves, and we call it personal finance because it's personal. And no two people are alike, and therefore they're not going to think the same way. How important is it to know your risk profile? I don't think much attention is given to this by people. Uh, and it's really all right. I mean, if you don't have a risk appetite, people think if I say I can't take risk, it's something which is taboo. I mean, it's perfectly fine that if you can't take risk, and it's perfectly fine if you are an aggressive risk taker or a moderate risk taker. So these are my two questions: the importance of understanding your risk appetite, and secondly, the importance of starting early, because as you mentioned earlier, many of us make the mistake of waking up when something goes wrong at a later stage in life.
Yeah, I think starting early is the most important thing. A lot of people think that, I will start consulting an advisor or start investing seriously when I have, say, lakhs of rupees or whatever. But the point is that you're trying to make a habit, and our habits are easier to be made when you're younger. So when you're younger and you start with even 1,000 rupees, it's fine. I keep telling younger clients all the time, saying it doesn't matter that you're starting with 1,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees. What matters is that you're starting, because once these bad habits kind of creep in and they get older, these just continue. And due to lack of time, later in life, when you're in 30s, you're getting married, you're having children, you're buying houses, and all of that sort of takes a sort of backseat, that I wish I had started earlier, because you keep withdrawing money at that time, saying, okay, I need it now. And I did that too, to be honest. When we were buying a house, pretty much put everything that I'd saved till then into the house. But the fact that I had saved, I was so proud of myself, saying, I can buy a house at 30 because I've saved and invested all these years. And of course, if you compare, saying, okay, had I bought the house or had I continued to stay invested, that would have been higher. Of course, that would have been higher. But the fact that I can live in a house which I can call my own, where I've bought it on my own, is something else. It gives you the kind of confidence that you can earn more and invest better, right? So I think starting early is absolutely the key, because also nobody teaches you how to start managing your money when you're younger and earning really well. So you end up spending a lot of that money, and you then discard a lot of that money that you've spent on clothes or things that don't fit your lifestyle, even as maybe 2 years later, right? So you end up spending a lot of money unnecessarily. So if saving and investing comes at that stage, it's actually saving you a lot of trouble. It, of course, compounds, which is boring, which is there everywhere. So I'm not going to harp on that, but I'm just saying the fact that you're mindful of spending because you're saving and investing, I think leads to a much happier life. You're just more grateful, rather than filling your house with stuff and then just discarding it later and saying I'm decluttering, which seems to be the theme of the year, at least in 2022. So then, starting early in saving and investing gives you that head start like no other, right? And when it comes to risk appetite, and they say, starting young, or even retired people, saying, okay, you shouldn't invest in riskier assets or whatever, right? I don't believe age is the criteria that you should consider at all, because I mean, I could be young and I could need money in the next 3 years. So then if I invest everything in equity, I'll have a bad experience. And then I might stay away from equity for the rest of my life, which a lot of people do, right? So I would say, when you're looking at risk profile, look at two things, look at whether you want to eat better or sleep better. So if you want to eat better tomorrow, you will need to take some amount of risk, right? If you want to sleep better today, you want to put it in safer assets. So this is usually people want to say both, I want to eat better also, I want to sleep better also. So then you have your answer, right? You get a combination of how well you want to sleep. What happens if the portfolio that you have invested in loses 20% overnight? Will you be able to sleep better? A lot of youngsters will say yes, because I don't need to touch this money, because it's smaller amount of money. A lot of older people may say no, because it's the only money that they have. They're not seeing new inflow of money. Because even you're younger, even if you lose all of that money, right? 100% loss. Just say, for example, I know it won't happen, but just say it happened. You still have the earning capacity, right? So that's why people who are younger tend to take on more risk, or should take on a little more risk, when you're older, and this is something that I do share with people who've just retired, saying, you know, I will buy a property, I will get rental income only, and blah blah, you know, whatever they've seen their friends do. For me, it's as simple as what works for you, right? If you're going to buy a property, will you be able to manage the property? Will you be able to handle the tenants? Is that something that you'll enjoy doing? What is it that you want to do? And we'll design a portfolio according to that. They're like, no, nobody is invested in equity. So, but is this the money that you want after 10 years, after 15 years? Because retirement doesn't mean that you take all your money and stash it under your mattress, right? You still have a good amount of 25, 30 years sometimes to live. And people sometimes just tend to forget that. They think that retirement is there, so I need this money safe and sound. People don't realize that you're compromising, or you're balancing safety, and you're going to compromise safety with growth, right? So some part of that could be in equity. But again, like I said, depends from person to person. How much money they have, how much is their expenses, at what age do they retire? I mean, there are all of these factors that comes when it comes to risk profiling and asset allocation, right? So just something that a peer has done doesn't mean it's right for you. So you have to have clarity with that, yourself, internal, and ideally have an advisor who will guide you the right way, because these conversations are better had with somebody who's an expert. Like you will, earlier, I know 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if you needed therapy, talking to a friend was enough. Today, for that therapy, ideally, go to somebody who's qualified. You'll go to a counselor, you'll go to a therapist who's qualified to do that. So as we are progressing in life, as we're progressing as a nation, these are specific roles that are coming up, specific professions that are coming up. And if you do not take it seriously, it will do you, you're doing yourself injustice, saying, you're not consulting the right person. You might talk to a friend who's retired 5 years ago and saying, okay, what you've done, I like it, so I'm going to do the same thing. May not work for you. So I think risk profile, people hardly understand it themselves, unless you're speaking to somebody who's an expert who will help you understand and how that risk profile sort of converts to an asset allocation, converts to a good cash flow, converts to a kind of growth that would be ideal for you.
It's been wonderful talking to you, Shweta. Thank you very much for coming here on Money Pathshala and sharing your views as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.